Hi there. So I'm just sitting here with my cat because she's very excited. Whoop. Yeah. Today we're trying to finish the business logic of the background manager scripts. Yesterday we worked on the internal logic a little bit and then finished the UI. Today we are going to work on the internal logic of the scripts, which should be independent from the UI. But I edited the modes, and that requires some code changes. And in the end, we can then sum up the changes into 4 modes, which would be to repeat indefinitely to all sides, horizontally, vertically, and not at all. After we are done with that, we want to see how the image layers behave with different game objects attached to them. For example, if you want to assign a particle system to your layer, we want to see how that would behave if we can make particle systems work with the background manager, which would be really nice to have some additional options there and effects in the background, which yeah, just would make it awesome. So we will need some sprites for that. I guess tomorrow we will have to I will have to work alone without the stream and generate the sprites for the background in the cave scene. And after that, probably I can stream that when I draw the sprites for maybe a fog effect and some leaves that just fly around in a particle system. So we have something to be in the background that looks awesome. But there are there are some templates for that, but we cannot use them since we're selling an asset, so everything has to be self-made. So tomorrow will be a little bit harsh to think about how we do actually achieve that without putting in too much effort, since the background manager, you expect it to bring you background, but I don't want to put in too much sprite works because it's not an art asset. If you have an art asset, it's okay if you draw a lot for that and do stuff, but for an asset that is not focused on sprites or something, you should try to keep the art only at the minimum. So what I want to do is only keep as much things in there as we need. So let's start. And another thing I want to do is I will work a little bit on this setup, stream setup. Yesterday I did a short change. Test the chat ability. Chat function. Text to speech. Text to speech is working. And now I wanted to have desktop audio. And the problem with that is desktop audio seems to overlap with playlist. Okay, I think now it should be better. Yesterday I double played the playlist, but I came up with a setting that shouldn't do that. Just have to change a bunch of stuff here. Okay, I'll probably have to check that later. And today also had another problem with the Stream Deck. When I start the stream, it didn't stop the right playlist. I probably have to change that again. But yeah, just something that it is supposed to do automatically. Just changing a lot of stuff. Okay, so the background manager is over here, and you can see this really weird cheese here at the side. It's actually intended to look like this. This is why the sprite is named test, and what it's doing is, if you go up and down, yeah, a cave scene where the sprite repeats to the left or right, yeah, you can see that if you're in the middle, this is for vertical levels, yeah, so you're not supposed to go like this or like that. So this would be in a level where you're falling down, yeah, and then you jump like this or something, yeah, and then this is in the background. Yeah, but you wouldn't do this in a level that goes like this, because it wouldn't make sense. Just like with this background, you wouldn't do this if you have a level that only goes down. You can see that the background now doesn't change that much. Yeah, you have to still be able to set up backgrounds correctly and maybe work if you want, and then work with a lot of background managers if you want to have multiple backgrounds in a level. So you can still put in a lot of work without messing with the background manager. Yeah, so we are going to work on the internal logic. Currently you can see the sky doesn't work, yeah, because it's supposed to repeat infinitely. Pretty sure it doesn't right now. Let's see what this sky is doing right now. It has some images, but it doesn't know what to do. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, going to make some code changes. That will be in the end of the day, I just want to have these modes here. These four, I want to have these working correctly. all that I want to do today. And I've talked about the optimization. So you can go in and try to optimize this with threads. And then I was like, unfortunately, it's not possible to do this with threads. So why? I would have to go through everything again and see if there isn't any case where I can make a thread work. But Unity update logic goes like this. Let's make a drawing here. The update logic goes like this. Here's the update call. There's I don't know what I think engine logic something. You can look this up if this is more specific. Then it does its update cycle, and then it's late update, and then it will render. Yeah, update is called before it renders. This is important. And then it will do more stuff and go again every frame. And there's a fixed update. Let's keep simple. This is basically what happens every time we update. If you have anything that needs to be adjusted every frame, you need to do this within the time frame of the update circle. If I would do a thread, you usually want this goes to and this thing, the update, goes to the scheduler, yeah, of the scheduler, and the scheduler makes the update process, and this process goes through the CPU, yeah. So this goes CPU update, and this goes through the CPU, and the CPU will do the update process interrupted maybe, but it will give the update process the CPU again and again until the update is through. Yeah. In the simplest case, the update goes through the CPU in one go. You could try to optimize that the CPU will try to do that, but that's micromanagement of the engine. That's engine logic. We are not going to do that. Yeah, we have to trust the engine that the CPU, that hopefully it gets a core that doesn't have anything else to do. The engine actually does multi-threading, but these are things that aren't in the update circle. So if you now make a thread, yeah, maybe I come up with the solution now, but if you make a thread, yeah, you start a thread right here. That also goes to the CPU scheduler. And what can happen is, so this thread will end somewhere, but this thread in this core and this thread in this core, they can finish at different times. So the update might finish before the render. So if you want anything that is that is finished before the render, you have to make sure to wait for the thread. And this makes it immediately way more complicated, because I don't even know if you can make the renderer wait for a thread. It should never wait for the thread. The thread is supposed to finish before the update circle. So we would have to do some micromanagement here with the thread. And then there's the additional thing that a lot of that threading in Unity is kind of bonkers with model behavior, since model behavior functions do not support threadings. So something like this, destroy immediately, that's not going into the thread. It's not available. I think this function is not available in the thread. Yeah, everything like this, where I go into the local square transform, is Unity specific, doesn't go into a thread. So we can't do, we probably can't do anything. Yeah. What we can do is calculate a vector 3, calculate that in a thread, come back here once it's finished, and then plug that vector 3 into the local scale. Yeah. So very much micromanagement, a lot of micromanagement. Actually quite fun. Yeah, but I don't have the. If the background manager would be the biggest thing I had, I could do that, but it's not worth the time. Yeah. Because it's a lot of work to make threading in this project. I'm making this project with threading. The biggest issue is if Unity changes anything, we might have to, and you micro optimize this with threading, which is not really micro optimization, but it's close to micro optimization in terms of how complicated it is. Actually, micro optimization is actually a little bit easier and smoother, but it can go both ways. Micro optimization can be very hard. I really like micro optimization because you're just playing with the math a little bit, and that's actually quite fun when you don't have to implement frameworks and artificial boundaries, and can work with just the processes that you have. Yeah, but with threading, you're going into the opposite way, where you have a lot of I have a lot of unknown risks here. I don't know if I can even make the simplest things work. Yeah, and that makes it kind of annoying. Yeah, it would be nice if you could micro a little bit more. Like there's this native array thing of Unity that I don't understand why it's there, but it is, which starts a thread, as far as I know. Yeah, but usually this is a bad example for a thread. This is not a good example for a thread, because if you need to wait for the thread here, the thread for some reason doesn't get the scheduling. If this thread finishes before this thread, you're always going to delay the whole frame. So you always want this thread to run faster than this one. So how can you guarantee it? You can't. Yeah. But usually you just can say, yeah, this thread here probably is going to be a really easy task. So it's probably going to finish every time before the update circle. So I would have, it's still a guess, yeah. If the scheduler messes you up, and for some reason this just doesn't get scheduled as fast as the update circle, you probably need to, yeah. So that's a risk. think this will not be the case, that you need to mess with the scheduler. You can try to give this a priority or something, but I don't know. You can actually, pretty much, but I don't know how much control we have. Yeah. Also, this is very operating system dependent. You want to make this independent. That also makes it really hard. Yeah. So for this, I would say let's not do this in this update at least. And I would only do this if the background manager is really the next big thing that everybody uses, which is I see the numbers that we currently have, and it is not. Everybody's using this specific background manager. Yeah. So yeah. But I think this helps me visualize and think about the thread. The biggest issue is actually not the update circle. I think you can solve this problem because the thread is since in the update you have all the logics. This class is going to execute, and after that, there's a lot of all the other classes are going to execute, and there's some other logic, I think, before we render. So you have that time for this for it to finish, and it should always finish before the rest. Yeah. And you basically just take out some vectors that are going to be calculated anyway. So yeah. I will have to look up what we actually want to do then. Because I think we are not doing any advanced math. Math we do is pretty insignificant, I think. But you can, yeah, there are some things where you can probably make this, for example, into a thread. You can even do these in a thread. It's very messy though. They haven't been designed with threading in mind. I think it's a thing where you have to do this once before you can understand what you actually need. The overall structure looks very bad for threading. For example, you would maybe not want to calculate this in the thread. This is a very, very basic calculation. But this, for example, you want to do this in the thread, for example. And you calculate this, and then the code goes on, and the result needs to be available here. Yeah. So you would have to wait for the result over here, and it's probably going to mess up the class even more if you wait for it to here. So this is not a good result. There's a lot of calculations that I would have to split this up, go through all the methods and split them into two parts. The parts where I can see, okay, where can I just calculate things and put them in a thread, and where do I have the result and use that. And the worst part is sometimes it does checks that could be done in the thread, but then I want to immediately use the check to see if I want to do more stuff. So you would hold the, and you cannot hold this update thing. Yeah, this has to go through in one go. You cannot hold it. If you yield return here, it's going to skip a frame, and you don't want to skip a frame here. So it's not really something that you want to put in a new thread. Yeah. There's other things that you might do in a thread. Okay, this is the inspector. I think this is, for example, get world corners. Something that you usually want to get in a thread. But there's no thread option available. Yeah. I think that's all a little bit kind of a bad idea. So why not just skip the update and say you just put everything in a thread, which is a lot of work, but maybe we'll just put everything in a thread and wait for an update circle and do it later. Then the image in the background is going to lag. Like, this moves and the background doesn't immediately move. You would see it stutter if you would put it in a thread and ignore the update circle. So it has to be available in the update circle. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think that we can do wedding without a lot of work. Yeah. So let's skip threading for now. And even if we do threading, then the worst thing about threading is, even if we do threading, we might destroy performance with it, because you might wait at a point. Waiting at the point is not possible. So yeah, that's why yeah, I think we're going against the Unity design. It makes more sense in logic that is independent from rendering. But this is very dependent on rendering, because we want to update the visuals here. So we are dependent on the update circle. Yeah. Okay. Going to the toilet. After that, I just work on the asset. Okay, so I'm pretty much happy with the logic. I don't think I should add another feature. It would probably complicate things. I thought about having this layer here. If you set it to none, I could add more text, like saying, hey, if you set this to none, remember that setting a parallax speed to 1 will make this stay in place. A parallax speed with 0 will make it move with the camera. But that's an explanation of the parallax speed that's already in here. Or actually, it isn't. A speed of 0 will move with the camera. A speed of 1 make the object stay in place. Just to make it easier to understand what these values will do. So should add this to the manager script. Now you could also, it would be better if you would then look it up. You'll have a parallax group script. If you have a parallax group speed, you would look up the description then in the individual parallax speed components. But I think better to also add the same description to this. I don't like this perfectly. It's not the perfect solution though. Since it means that if I change it over here in the scroller, which I shouldn't, because the Q and 1 with 0 and 1 makes is easy to understand, but if I change that to the opposite, that 0 is it stays in place and 1 moves with the cam, then I have to update the text over here, and I probably forget that. And that's something that you always want to, where you always want to, hey, I would like to have a pointer in the tooltip. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, let's try to do that. Oh no, I think you can't do this. Can you do this? Wait, let me try to do something. I think if I do this, yeah, I can't have a pointer in the tooltip. I can't have it. I think we maybe can have a global string. Can I have a global string const string string parallax tooltip. So this is pretty advanced. Hold on, advanced. Like actually put test. Can I put this in here. Yes, I can do this. So probably I can put this then over here to this scroller and reference it with this. It has to be static. I think it const static. Why doesn't it want that? That's weird. I thought this was possible, but apparently it only works in its own class. Is that correct, or did I do a... It works over here? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, okay, that's interesting. What if I make this static? Oh, then I can't reference it over here because this is... What? No. Then it will say it's now an array. Nope. Doesn't want to take it. I think there's a way to do this, but I'm not figuring it out right now. Oh, I have a double plus in here. Ah, that was the problem. Oh. And then I can reference that tooltip. Ah, that's cool. Okay. So let's do that. Oh. Okay, I was a little bit confused there. So this means... Now this seems like a very weird way to do it. But it just means that you have the description of the what the parallax speed also the parallax speed controls they have a really nice description there. Let's check out how it does look. So you go over here and you see the parallax speed controls how fast the image will scroll. And this will be in the direction opposite to the camera movement. A speed of 0 will move with the camera. A speed of 1 will make the object stay in place. If it stays in place with the cam and at a speed of 1, this isn't opposite to the cam. Is it? Oh yeah, from the but it's opposite to the cam if you look at the cam and in terms of relative speed. Well, it's so hard to explain. It's actually pretty easy to show. But it's hard to understand the math, explain it in language. So with the speed of 1, you stay in place, but you're actually moving. With the speed of 0, you stay in place in the cam frame. which is kind of, it's actually not mind-boggling if you explain it right. And I just to the movement relative to the camera frame. Movement? Kind of opposite, yeah, I am. I'm really bad here with explaining what the math actually does. I mean, I explain what the math does, but I'm really have a problem with articulating that into something that is easy to grasp, like. I mean, the second sentence is the one that actually shows you how it works. And the first one just puzzles me right now. How fast the image will scroll relative to the camera frame will move away from the camera. Will move in the camera frame. Yeah, that's pretty good. If it moves in the camera frame, that's actually what it does. Movement of 0 will not make it move. A speed of 1 will make it stay in place. And you could try to work with different values above 1 or below 0, but it wouldn't make sense. Yeah. So, okay, let's go over here. Okay, I don't know why I even press. Okay, now let's use the group speed. Actually, I expected the tooltip to come up here, so I have to look at that. And the tooltip is not here. I don't like that too much. I think I just don't do have a good option. Maybe we can give it the tooltip, but let's not give up on that. Which is cool now, since it's a constant string. We probably can reference it. Let's see where this. Oh, reference it in the wrong thing. Need to reference it somewhere where it specifies the curve. Then I should be able to read it over here. Yes. Just want to add a little bit of readability there, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, that looks nice. Now we can read the tooltip over here, but we can't read it over here. Yeah, we don't have a tooltip. Now you would go in here and go into the background manager to read the tooltip. And if you disable it over here, you can read the tooltip now over here when you actually set it. So I think this is sufficient. You can push this into production, but I want to see if I can add the tooltip back in here too, to the label. If you go over and hover over this parallel speed to get a description. I think if we can, why not? If we can't, it's not important. Now you get your information where you set the value. So yeah, going into the things that are just nice to have, which is quite nice, literally nice. So here's the label. And now we want to see if we can add a tooltip. I think that we actually can. That would be nice. Oh, I added it to the wrong thing. Actually, can put it over here and to the label. I will change the code position, but let's go over here. Yeah. So you will get the tooltip over here and over here. Yep, that looks alright. Now you would define the tooltip over here, like this. And define both tooltips somewhere over here. I think this is sufficient. Okay, then we're done with the logic for today. So let's prepare the next thing. So pretty much what I can do now is close the editor. I won't, because I tend to make little changes, but can now see. Oh! I still have things that I want to check out. Yeah. Does this work, for example? Yeah. Does this work, for example? Let's hit play and see. It doesn't work. That's cool. Okay, so we are not finished here. So when we put it into vertically, we want to repeat up and down infinitely. We want to make sure that if we say repeat horizontally, we want to repeat a line. We're doing this with this background. Oh, this is the wrong one. This one is supposed to be infinite. Need to do it with this one. And we probably want to update the preview when we change the repetition mode. Okay, and horizontally, that seems to work. That's nice. No changes required. And vertically. And this one is a little bit harder to confirm, but that also looks correct. Yeah, and then we have so many options here. I think if you do anything else, like you say horizontally, repeat upwards, repeat downwards. Yeah, you have all the basic options. If you want to have anything more specific than that, then you need to then you need to make it yourself. Yeah. I think we are at a moment where we would separate the, okay, this is already a step into the further than 80% of users what they need. We are stepping into 80% of coders and developers what they need. And the rest of the 20% want something very specific. We're already making steps into that area. But then we go in, if we make more steps now, we're making things too complicated for everyone else. Yeah. So this is where I say, okay, no new features. What we now have here in needs to work very, very well, but I don't want it to overcomplicate matters. Yeah. The thing that I probably would change is maybe the rect transform to make this work without rect transforms. Yeah. There's always a feature. There's always a feature or a change that you want to do, and then it would be completely finished. Yeah. But actually, this is working quite well. The performance is good. This is probably better in terms of performance than if you do it with the image, but I don't know. Yeah. So making this just with the, I mean, not image, I mean with the sprite renderer. You could do this, the whole system with the sprite renderer. But I cannot guarantee that, I don't know if the performance would be worse or better. I know the performance right now is sufficient, so that alone doesn't justify a change. And what you do here is, except that it's weird to work with a web transform, I don't see that. Actually, it's better in a lot of ways. Actually, yeah. Actually, I think a web transform gives you more control over how you stretch an image inside of here. Over the if you just do it with an image. Yeah. Doing this with the image component, a sprite runner component, you could still work with the scale to adjust the scale. So you could do anything that is important to you, but it's not relative to the camera frame. So it's a little bit wonky. I think you would expect it to work with a sprite renderer if you look at the asset, and you see it works with the web transform, and that raises a question there. But to be honest, if it's working, I don't see where and a sprite renderer is better than the web transform in that case. I mean, it's a little bit of an odd choice, and that's the thing, and that might be a no-go for people, because the choice to go with the sprite renderer is admittedly weird. So if you have anything with a sprite renderer where you want to work with a sprite renderer in the background, you might not take the asset. Yeah, and that's why I'm worried about why I think a sprite renderer might be better instead of the image component with a web transform. Yeah, I think that sums up the thing most. It's just the sprite renderer support might be better when you have something specific in mind, where you want to have something that a script, it basically has to be a script or something that specifically says I want this background to have something specific with this sprite renderer. Then you wouldn't take the background manager. The first thing I thought would be important would be the material, like the shader graph, but you can actually make materials work in Canvas with shader graph, so that's not a no-go. I think it's just a little bit of a pain, because you need to, I think you need to hack the time. So I think on their own it depends. No, I think it's fine. I think I had it in my game where if you go into the menu, then you would pause the time, and that made specific materials not update. But that's on my behalf. But then there were specific quirks with Canvas that can be annoying. So if you use the background manager raw, I don't know. I really need some feedback on that. Because I just feel that, like, because it's an odd choice to go with the canvas component that might give negative feedback. But I really would just need to go on Reddit and ask. Yeah, that's basically my problem there. Okay, but aside from that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you don't mind having the image on the canvas component, where you also have to be to have either you just have something specific where you just have to say okay, that's a no-go, it just doesn't work with something that I'm imagining, because you add the background blade, background manager blade, yeah, then that's a no-go. If you don't mind it, you're not getting something, you're not going to run into any problem. Yeah. So I really have to cannot make a survey, unfortunately, but I have to just collect some opinions on that. Yeah. And I think there's maybe like, there's not a lot of developers who can actually answer the question if that would be a no-go for them or not. Yeah. To have it in an image component. So why is it a big deal for me not just to make this an image component, make it a sprite runner? It's just a lot of code changes that come with that. Actually, just in here, in the manager, in the manager, yeah. Also have to work with the asset a little bit more. In the manager, that's not a lot of things. Over here, there. Whenever it says Vec transform, which it says a lot. Yeah, actually override the anchor, so you can't even do anything with the anchors. It's hard coded. And the offset. So I think you can do something with the anchors over here with parent, but the image anchors, they are hard coded. So you still have the option on the parent though. So if I do something like this and preview it, actually you see that it does something. You play with the anchors. Now I do things that don't make too much sense. But yeah, you can mess up around with the values, no problem. Do something that doesn't make sense. Okay. think if you do something over here, oh, you can, it actually does something. Oh, I thought that actually would get zeroed. Okay. So it's still pretty useless, I think, but you can do things. Yeah. I wouldn't do this, but you can if you have something specific. Where you say, okay, I need this to be squeezed for some reason, you can do it. Then you can do it with the scale, you can do it with the angles, you can do it with the position. So in terms of features, it's actually better than the sprite render component, but the support for the sprite render component is better in terms of how much frameworks work with the sprite render. As I say, if you have some specific animation particle system or logic that works with sprite render only, you have to rewrite into it to work with an image component. At which point, if you do something that specific, you should be able to just code that it doesn't require an image component. But if you're buying, people who buy assets often don't do that. They just assume that things work, and they have the right to do that. Yeah, I don't want to say that's bad. It's bad for me if I want to sell the asset, but it's not bad for them. Yeah, but if I do this, for example, this works, but this doesn't work. So if I put it over here, do this will be a little bit weird. No, I don't think that's a problem. Whatever you do, once the user does weird things, it's going to break. If you go into too much detail, it's going to break. So the support is perfect, except if you need a specific component, and so I just have to hide it that this works with the rect transform. Because for people, this might sound like a deal breaker, when in actuality it doesn't change anything. Yeah. So probably shouldn't market it that this works with the rect transform. Yeah. It's not good propaganda. There's different things that if you would make this a sprite renderer where you put the component, currently it's like this. You can put this anywhere. I think I can even make this as child of the cam. It will work because it's canvas. Just ignores that. Oh, it renders differently now. That's interesting. Ah, no, that's because I put this to infinite. do that again. Just to none. Yeah. So you can put this component anywhere. It has a lot of pros that it is a canvas actually. Yeah, that's actually a huge pro. You can put this anywhere. You can. Let's make a component. Give this a scale of 0.1 and see if this affects the background. Oh, it does. It does. So the scale is affected, but I mean it works. Now everything is much smaller than it's supposed to, and the background manager stops generating images because it goes into the area where it says, okay, that's too many images. It's going to impact performance. You can override the settings, so currently it's maximum 10 images per side, and you can see that it runs into the limit of images. Yeah, if I put this to 20, you can see that it just starts to lag. Yeah, that's why I don't use that many images. You probably just should change your background or something if you have that case. Okay, enough. Put it back here. And now... Oh, now the position is messed up, I guess. Or is it? Oh, something is messed up. Not in game though. Yeah. So I think some value had to reset. Okay. One more thing that we need to do is if we change this repetition mode over here, I want to see the result immediately, not press preview. So let's see. But this mode is a little bit works differently. Okay, but if we have this mode enabled, preview mode, then I want to see the image, the image change. So in that's the Parallax generator, the Parallax generator component. We want to go into the inspector and update the preview when we change the preview mode, the image repetition mode. Okay, now we should see something when we update this. Yeah. Which is nice to see. And we want to have the same thing if we click these buttons. Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. No complaints. I mean, you immediately see what it does. So, yeah. Let's go into the defaults and see if how they are. Page. Okay, need to make sure these are false, the default, because they cannot be true both. It's not supposed to be that both are true. So we won't see a difference here. But before it was the default is that both are enabled, which is actually not possible. If both are enabled, repeat left and right, up and down. It's basically an infinite repetition, so it doesn't make much sense anymore. Ah. Image repetition mode. I think that should be infinite. Because that's the one that you understand immediately. Then you basically want Most of the time you want to do it like this. Just make some tests here. And for some reason I don't see the assets in the art here. I think because it's in the package. Which is kind of annoying, but yeah, we have to deal with it. Do this. And say upwards to something else. Vertically. P to the right. And then we put in our cheese image. Yeah, that works. Okay. So for the test, let's delete it. And what I want to do now is I want to add a new sprite here in the middle. Oh yeah. Oh, if we set it to none, we still want to assign the center sprite. That's actually important. We want always to have that center component. Yeah. Just in case we want to put in an image over here. Yeah, now we have this image over here. And other image repetition mode is none. But we maybe want to have something stay here. Not move at all. So in this case you would set this to 1 at the end, and that would stay in place. Yeah, for example. You would, for example, you would put in something in that doesn't have a repetition image, but is maybe like this. These platforms, I think these platforms work. Oh, you don't see them. Oh, there they are. Where's the example scene? Oh, it's missing. Oh, they're missing the sprite component. That sucks, man. Okay. Yeah, we're going to fix that. And we don't have a name for this yet. Start object. Yeah, and the start object would be somewhere at the start. Yeah. If it's something that we start with. But now this is part of the scenery. Yeah. And you have something that you can move around. But doesn't repeat itself. You can have that in the background. So you can have unique objects in there. Which actually is a feature that I didn't think about, but yeah, you can have that. It's actually a big feature. If you want that. It's not a big feature if you don't need it though. Which is like 80% of 80% don't need this feature ever. But it's still, if once you do advanced stuff, you want this. So I think that it's a nice thing to cover up. Okay, let's go on and yeah, assign these sprites. It's going to be example platform. Need to, oh, maybe we can assign them all at once. That would be nice. Yeah, that's actually nice. Okay, now we have them all assigned. Only thing that is a little bit annoying now is the example sprite has the same properties than the other sprites. So let's make this one red. Doesn't update. Okay, that's good. Let's make more tests here. So one thing that you notice is that it doesn't update when we change the properties. Okay, we see that this updates. I don't have a listener on that, so can't add that too. Let's go infinite. Will that work? Just trying out, will the image settings work? Yep. Horizontal line. I don't want to go through every setting here, but let's just see. Confirm that everything is working. Yep, that works. That works. That works. That works. Just testing that if you change the image properties, give it color, tint things, that we don't make any mistake there. I think that's it. Set this to none. And we're done with the theme. Give this a little bit more transparency. Okay. Give it a little small tint. We will replace this object next time with something. Would be nice to have something that we can tint, but I think this tint is not the best example how you tint things. You normally want to give it a material, then you can specifically target specific areas. Normally you want to tint a grayscale object and then tint the specific area that you mark with grayscale or a color. You can try to give it a special pixel property, but it requires a lot of code. But normally you just tint it in a specific color. Give it a specific color and then say, okay, tint this color in what I want. I mean, you could give it a mask and tint that mask. I think that's the second best way to do it, because it adds a little bit of work in the art deployment where you have to make this mask layer. Actually it gives gives you more control where you can then work with normal colors. Okay, so let's save this scene and make another scene. Let's save this scene and make a new sample scene. And this is a vertical sample. Yeah. And we want to go through him with the normal steps. Get in the background manager. We want to watch that there's no errors in the console. And add layers to the parallax group. Good. And in our case, we want to have 3 layers in here. Console is still clear. We want to have an infinite background. I'm going to give this a sky. Let's preview. We want to have 2 vertical layers. One repeats to the left. Put it over here. One repeats to the right. Put it over here. And we give this the cheese sample. And not to worry too much. Give this a parallax speed. Let's just load the preset. Yep. It's nice, and let's just add a test for now. So next time you can go in here and add some layers. So the test isn't even good at the moment. So this is supposed to be a vertical level where you jump down in a cave and have something in your background going on. So now I need to add some images. And in this case, actually, since we want to pair these 2 layers, I want to disable the parallax speed and plug in 0.5, 0.5, 0.1, 0.1. See that? Also, the default speed of 5 is not good. Okay, and this... Isn't it supposed to be the speed of 0 doesn't move? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Yeah, never mind. 0.5. 0, 0. Yep. And 1. 1. Okay, let's change some defaults. Let's change some defaults. 0.5. 0.5. Okay. And that should be sufficient. Let's also check out the default curve over here. That says Oh. Okay, this one doesn't have a default. It does have a default. Problem with this default is that it just never gets applied because it starts with 0 layers and it just zeroes out. Yeah, that's a little bit of a bumper. In this case, you could also go in and control it with the speed curve, but I would have to do it like this. Okay, I want to have a speed of 0.5 for this one. And then I just add another key and say for the first layer I also want to have 0.5 speed, and now these two layers will have the same speed, and then I can set the speed for the background. Yeah. And then the curve doesn't matter anymore. Actually, you should do that, because in this the recommended way. You control everything with one setting over here. I think it's just more comfortable and easier to do. Yeah, but the zoom effect, the layer zoom effect also affects them differently, so you would have to make sure that that doesn't cause a problem. And yeah. So now I have to just next time I will have to go in here, and yeah, we're going to stop here. Next time I will have to go in and pretty much do this off stream, generate a background. Not sure what I'm going for. I think I will go for some background that is just a cat. So for the next time I will go for a background that is probably a cave, but it could also be that I go for a steel structure, something where you have a level, your character jumps down from here, jumps down below, and goes into some kind of adventure. Yeah, that's what I'm envisioning right here. I'm not sure why these images are squeezed, however. Not covered. I'm not sure why it does this. Oh, I see. Because the source image is like this. Ah, okay. I have to go into the sprite editor. They take the whole thing. still need the default ratios, and then everything has the same ratio. Yeah. So because there's a lot of options, it's easy for the user to mess things up. Yeah, that's kind of meh. But yeah, now we have the cheesecake.
How the project going, John?
Hi Heavens. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, you're coming to the end of the stream. I'm actually
Are you fixing an old project or working on the new one?
I'm not fixing stuff, I'm updating. So this is the background manager. Currently it's like this. I have these projects over here in the Unity Hub, and I have the Brush Forger. This is 3 assets, and one of them is already in the Unity Asset Store. It's the free one, and 2 are still in the review. Yeah, they seem to take 2 months per review, and that's actually quite a lot of time. So as long as they are in the review, I'm not doing anything on that. So I have this background manager, and in the time that this one is in the review, I have updated this and put out a new version. And now I added a bunch of features that I would say round up the version. So now this can repeat.
Productive.
Thank you. Yeah, very much. And the cool thing is I'm actually working less time. Yeah. So I've been trying to work 6 hours per day instead of infinite hours. And the productivity is just very, very good. And I've been surprised how much the productivity is actually holding up with just plugging in more hours. Since I just feel like I can work harder in the time, and I still have very good productivity. Yeah, so I've been working 6 hours for at least a month now, and I've put out a complete update. Yeah.
Are you using new techniques to stay focused or be more productive?
I just try to stand up, work, and I work straight hours, 6 hours straight until I get lunch. This is why I usually finish around 14 o'clock. This is to just get some food, but I do work 6 hours without a break. So there has to be a compromise, of course. If you say, okay, I work 6 hours, but I work efficiently. And yeah, the most sufficient life hack is to have some snacks that I eat in between to not have to go to lunch. Since when I have lunch, I just lose a lot of time, and this keeps me a little bit longer in the game to finish my 6 hours and then eat something. Yeah, so I synced it up with what is physically possible as a human being. Yeah, so yeah, and I try to just give my best in these 6 hours, and it helps a lot that if you limit yourself to 6 hours, I find that I don't have these breaks in between where I'm just laying down and trying to think and relax a little bit and chill out, because the stress gets to me in the end too. Yeah. And yeah, this is a finished project already, and I was talking about I finished the code here. I can show you what it does now. So I have this new image repetition mode in here, and you can tell this repeat infinitely to each side, repeat horizontally. You can set how it repeats. When the camera moves up and down, it will keep repeating to the side, but it won't show you here because it needs to save resources. And vertically, so if you want to repeat it up and down, you can do that. Yeah, so you have these modes, and you can say no, none. So you will only repeat it one time. And before it was just horizontally. Yeah, so we released this asset with the option for horizontally and infinite for the background, but I didn't have this enum. So I basically added an enum, added this UI, and I've been working on an update for this week now. Nice improvement, thank you. Yeah, and this is when I press play, this is how it looks. Yeah, you can see that the zoom effect is actually stacked.
Nice improvements.
Yeah.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Oh, wait a moment. Didn't I set this to none? I think I have to save it up. Oh no, I think I just forgot to set it to none. Sometimes you need to save things up in the editor in additional time though. Because Unity likes to forget its variables, and you have to sometimes specifically tell Unity do not forget that variable and save it up. It's a little bit weird. Yeah, actually it's also annoying. But it does save it up, I can see it, because it recognizes the change in the scene. Yeah, so that's a little, but it's a little bit weird sometimes. Yep. So yeah, thank you. And yeah, so thank you Havens for tuning in. No, that's still in the review. So I did put it like this. I put in if this is the free version, I put it into the queue. Now it goes through the queue, and if this is the end of the queue, it takes a month. Yeah, and I was like, okay, since the other things, these are the paid version, and they have a dependency, so they can't get. I have to wait until this is through the review, and then I can get the paid versions after that. Yeah, but I actually waited until the free version is in the middle of the queue, and then I put in the other things so I can. This is now through the review. Now these are still in the review, but they will arrive at the end of the queue sometime. Yeah, I don't know when, but I still have about a month until they get reviews. So the review times for new assets, they are really, really bad. I think for 2 months and then you get into something. I actually got rejected first time, and then I was writing them. Okay, you forgot a dependency that is included in the new version. Maybe you tested this with the wrong version of Unity, and then they just accepted the asset, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, but I released the free version. And interestingly, the asset that I'm working right now, where I just gave an update, that had a review time of 3 days. Yeah, so everything that you update is going. If this is your asset, that new asset, everything that gets updated gets in front of that. It will shift the queue back, and the updates get in there first. Yeah, so that's really interesting. It's really hard to get new asset into the, or it takes a lot of time to get new assets into the asset store, but updates get through in a really good time, which is surprising. First, I thought when I saw, okay, 2 months for a new asset to get through the queue, that's a time that is just not working for me if I want to have an update and I have to wait for 2 months. That's not working, but that's not how they do the queue. They really have it so that updates are still in an acceptable time. On the flip side, I saw that the queue times for new assets increases per month. So I think they don't have enough stuff to get the reviews done. So they really need to hire more stuff. But they fired a lot of stuff in at the beginning of the year. I don't know, February. I think they fired a bunch of stuff, and now the queue times have increased, and they will keep increasing because they don't have enough stuff. Yeah, so they need more stuff to solve that again, and then they're back into firing people again. Yeah, and then this is also some kind of queue, I guess. Yeah, what they are doing. It's a little bit weird. Yeah, but thank you for tuning in, and yeah, nice to see you. I hope you had a nice sleep in your tent. I saw you actually, how you were sleeping. And I'm off to get my lunch now, because I'm starting to get hungry. Yeah. Oh, you also have an explanation why I have a nice day. Yeah, now you know why I don't stream so long anymore, because I just do 6 hours. Stand up at 7 o'clock and start to work immediately. Works very well for me, to be honest. Especially for my sleep, it's much healthier. And I'm actually a little bit surprised how well it worked for my sleep. Yeah, but yeah, I also have more time to do stuff. I actually changed the panels here. You can't see any change, but the panels, they have been scratched by the cats, and now I had the time to actually remove the panels and install new ones that aren't scratched, and that's kind of nice. And I find it's really value for you to have some time for other work that you still have to do as an adult. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. Thanks. See ya.